Toma Sagamayam Tamasoma Jyoti Kamaya Meritoma Amritam Kamaya Om Shanti 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 No translation necessary, all your Sanskrit scholar. So, this is the month of Christmas. And so since we are all indebted to Christianity, it was the seed that is sprouted into this dogma. And also considering the fact that next Saturday, right, the Psalm Monday, we get to celebrate the gift of Nam, initiation, so forth and so on. So this is a very good month. And if we combine the purpose of both of those occasions, it revolves around love. So the topic today will be love. And there's been all kinds of examples of what this love is that we're all seeking to elevate our pursuit of love to the level of divinity. This almost can be said that there's a kind of hierarchy of love. In the spiritual traditions, most of you know those hierarchies. We call them Bhagwan, essential feeling. Much of our spiritual progress depends on our attitude and our feeling toward God. You see, and that can be graduated. It comes in different flavors, depending on these individuals' temperament. For some, God is refuge, you see. It's what we turn to when life becomes more than we can bear, you see. That's Shanti Bhava, you see. It can be a kind of attitude and sentiment that you'll find in the relationship between close friends, you know. Because everybody's going to need a friend in life, sooner or later. And so, very often, the lovers of God look upon God as their friend, Chakiya Baba. This is especially so in Islam, in Sufi Islam. You see, they talk about the friend. Those of you who are familiar with the tradition will notice that. And then there are those who look upon God as their master, who is in charge of this house called the body-mind, you see? And therefore, they relate to God as a servant of the Lord. And use this body-mind according to God's instructions, you see, diligently. That's what in the tradition they have called Sevak Baba. You see, love that expresses itself in the form of rendering service to the Lord. You see, using this body, mind. You see, all thy mind, all thy heart, all thy wealth, everything in service. Bilal and I were chatting, reminiscing about Baba Sorensen, Maharaji school, you see. And Bilal was just sharing with me how amazed he was about how much seva the great master, we call him, performed. And not just in his capacity as the master, but even as a disciple. You see, tremendous. You agree, Bilal?
That's right.
Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. And then there will be those who, in pursuit of union with the beloved, that have the attitude of a mother toward a child. See, Vasalia. In fact, that very often is presented as the gold standard of love, you see. Incredible capacity to sacrifice her own well-being for the sake of that baby, you see. And those of you here who are mothers, you can definitely perhaps relate to that kind of love. Unconditional love, you see. But of all of them, the supreme example is Madhurya Bhava, the love between husband and wife. And when I say husband and wife, I actually mean a man who has unleashed his divinity in a woman who has done the same. And those two come together. That is the closest example and metaphor of what God and your love of God should feel like. You see? It is interesting in Catholic mysticism, the nuns and even some of the monks consider themselves the wife of Jesus. You see, it's a very beautiful, you see, metaphor. In fact, even in most cultures, you see, when poets and singers sing and write about love, is usually the kind of love you find between a man and a woman, you see, in the true sense of the word. A kind of divine love, a kind of love that, unlike any of the other ones, result in a merger, a oneness. There can still be duality in those other four. There's not a merger, it's not two people becoming one. That's Madhurya Bhava. So, I thought that today, you see, maybe we can have a little satsang about reaching the highest level of relationship with God, which is to become one. And we'll see what happens. This male-female principle is manifest throughout the entirety of the world, and nature, and universe, this planet, even at the quantum levels. You see electrons and their nucleus, you see the attraction, you see. This Shiva and Shakti, this Isis and Osiris, you see. have to become the goal. So I've asked Brother Vera to play some music that capture this dynamic. Okay. And what happens? Anybody fall in love?
Yes, sir.
Putting y'all on the spot. Anybody have a clue what these mystics are talking about? You see? See, most of us, you see, are in relationships, and how do you account for that? You know? She walked by, and your whole life changed. Mm-hmm. He said hello, and you fell in love. You see, this is what spirituality is like. When that happens, in your relationship to God, the rest is automatic. You see. For some of you fell in love at first sight. Right? Is that right? You saw some freckles for 30 something years. Still too much in your business. Just saw some freckles, you see. The elevator door opened, and I know two people fell in love. One coming, one going. A little bit about this thing, you see. That has to happen, you see. And you remember that wasn't anything that you micromanaged. You had not even planned on it. In fact, some of you had already been wounded and swore to God, I'll never love another again. You see? What can you do? You can't make it happen. It happens. You just have to be receptive. Are you feeling me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One of the poets likened it in a person, the poet said that God been chasing you ever since he heard your name. And everywhere he went, they told him, you just left. But sooner or later, you see, you'll find it. And this thing happens. I know sometimes in Satsang we talk so much about metaphysics, philosophy, psychology, etc., etc. You see. But sometimes you have to understand, you see, that this thing transcends all of that. You see. It's a hard thing. You see. It's a hard thing. You see. Bhakti is not the result of reading the Bhakti Sutras. You can't open up your heart by reading about more likely you'll get deluded. You see. It's a strange phenomenon. Strange phenomenon. Play the music, man.
Everybody's talking about how different I am. I guess they don't notice the change, the way I walk, the way I talk. Believe it or not, baby, I can feel it here inside of me. You turn my whole world around. Yes, darling, it's true love I found. Never have I ever met a girl like you, so warm, so tender, completely new. You changed me, rearranged me, with no meaning in my life. No more sadness or madness, no more lonely nights. It's over, girl, it's over, my dear, 'cause you're here. Ooh, yeah. You turn my whole world around. Oh baby, it's true love I found. You turn my whole world around. And it's true love I found. I'm giving and I'm living my life for you. Whenever, whatever you want, I'll do. 'Cause I'm crazy about you, baby. You fulfill my life. No more sadness or madness, no more lonely nights. It's over, girl, it's over, my dear, 'cause you're here. Ooh, yeah. You turn my whole world around. Oh baby, it's true love I found. You turn my whole world upside down. Oh baby, it's true love I found. All it took, baby, you were all that it took to take a man from a world that was completely all blue, to turn me around, plant my feet on solid ground. You turn my world around. Oh baby, it's true love I found. You turn my whole world around. It's true love I found. It's true love I found. You turn my world around.
That's an example. Some of us, some of you perhaps can identify with that transformation that the maestro is thinking about. You see, when you encounter the love of God, you see, and that experience of God's love, when you become conscious of the love of the divine for you, that's a game changer. That turns you around, you see. Rumi says that recognition of the reality of that you are loved by God in spite of your imperfections, shortcomings, and faults, you see. Rumi says that kind of love turns grapes into wine. It makes a willow stand straight, you see. It makes a rose bloom. It transforms you. Drugs are going. Your diet is radically changed. You see? Moral and ethical behavior now becomes your goal. Are you with me? You see? You're changed. Your whole goal in life is changed. You see? You find something to live for and no longer are merely focused on making a living, you see? And the distinction between the two is vast. That is the sign that the touch of love has happened to you, you see. You cannot have that encounter and not be changed, you see. No more sadness, no more depression, you see. No longer even confused about it. Clear, straightened out, not zigzag no more, you see. It is something. Other things happen too. Roger, there's another example of what might happen.
I was just a rider on the storm. The answer, boy, is you. Where have you been all my life? I was nothing, I was nowhere till you came and made it right. No, I didn't stand a chance to find that sweet romance. The answer, boy, is you. The answer, boy, is you. When you touch me, there's something deep inside that tells me you're the reason I'm alive. I was going insane until I found you, boy. I was out in the rain, but now the sky is clear. The answer, boy, is you. The answer, boy, is you. Where have you been all my life? I was nothing, I was nowhere till you came and didn't stand a chance to find this sweet romance. The answer, boy, is you. The answer, boy.
Same touch.
The answer, boy, is you. Is you. Riding on a storm, keep my honey warm. Yeah, yeah. So you. The answer is you, boy. You are the answer. Come on, give me. Come on and give me, yeah,
That is what happened to Minerva. You see. She threw away her whole kingdom, chance to be a queen, when she met Ravidas, who introduced her to God. Sometimes somebody got to hook you up with God, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And on a wedding day, her servants and maid servants were perplexed because Mirabai will not even fix her hair for such a trivial relationship of being married to a king. You see? Ravidas had showed her a greater relationship was possible. So you have to understand, you know, sometimes that bhakti make you do crazy things. Makes a Buddha leave a throne, a Toshisahi renounced, abdicated the throne. You see, strange. You see. Strange. So, I've had my say. What say ye? What you rascals like to consider? Yes, ma'am.
First things first, happy birthday.
You know, our oldest brother, we call him Big Daddy. And Big Daddy told me last year, he said, well, when I turned 70, he said, well, you're grown now. Last night he told me I'm only 1 year old. But certainly there is something to be said about growing old, you see. And I think that just living and growing and going through things gives you a certain kind of wisdom, you know? It might be wisdom in hindsight, but it's certainly something you can pass down to the next person in line, you see. Your values change, you know what I mean? And at some point you see, as you grow older, as you move through those stages, you know, there was when we were students and getting degrees and all of that, and planning life, and then we found a wife or a husband and started our little families, you know, thinking that was gonna make us happy.
Yes, sir.
And we start having grandkids, you know what I mean? And for the first time, we begin to mellow out, you see, open up, become a little bit more vulnerable, you see. Let them, you know, pull our ears, stick their fingers in all in your mouth, you see. And then by the time you get in this place, then sannyas kicks in. You see, your focus is chit, because now you know that you know exactly what the future is going on. You see. That cancer that went into remission is going to spring back up. You know, you're on your way out of here. You see, you realize you done made all the money you probably gonna make. Okay, you see, free your mind from your schemes. All gone, right? All gone. You learn how to say no to a lot of stuff that you used to couldn't say no to. You see?
Yes, sir.
Energy levels are going, you see. So it's really something, you see. But you start living for the first time, factoring death into how you do in your life. You see, you're factoring death in now. You see, you weren't factoring it in the early stages. Because when you were 20, you thought you were never going to die. You see, never going to get sick. You see. But when you cross over into sannyas, right? Then you factor that in, you see. There's evidence that you're going to die, you see. Your body is breaking down. You got pain all over. You can't walk fast no more. You can't eat your favorite foods no more. You tired at 5 o'clock in the evening. You're ready to go sleep. Sir, you can't read, you can't watch TV because you ain't got enough energy to stay awake. You know you're on your way out of here. You see, you don't have to infer it no more. You see, you feel it coming. You look in the mirror, the teeth are gone, the hair is gone. You can't even see your reflection go.
Yeah.
Your eyesight gone. You try to put on makeup, you make sticking stuff in your eye, you can't find eyeliner no more. And that's the grace of old age. It's a kind of grace. It's a grace. Because you start factoring in death, transience, and permanence. You see, you start detaching. You see, you start fantasizing. You are made sober. And if you're fortunate, then you can go to work in those remaining years. You stop pissing your life away on that which is not important. You finally begin to adhere to your diet. You see? Because you can't violate it no more. Feeling me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So thank you for reminding me that this will all be over with by and by, right? So I better make right use of the few remaining years. So thank you very much. What else would you the rascals like to discuss? Yes, beloved.
Thank you. Something happened this week I didn't think was going to affect me. I knew this lady in my building that had worked. Nice lady, you know, she had like health problems and stuff like that. But we're doing wellness checks on her. And I did a wellness check on her, and she had expired.
While you were doing the wellness check? Or
Oh,
you was
well,
already?
well, a family member had called and said, can security go check on her? So I had to call my property manager. Property manager came down to the building. I went there and saw her. And then it was like, she checked out. And she really had no people visit her. She didn't really have nobody like around her, check on her like that. All she had left was her 2 cats, and she had money. She was well educated. But then as I started to think about it in meditation, I said, I don't want to check out like that. I want to be surrounded around people who love me and stuff like that. So having to really go through a process, what I'm doing in my own existence, you know, just think about it, because she was a nice lady, but it was like, you know, dying by herself alone in her apartment. You know, she had diabetes, and you know, she was drinking. She wasn't supposed to be drinking. It was like, if she had to really go out like that, I just kept thinking about it. Just I was like,
Well, everybody died by themselves.
Yes, sir.
Nobody else dies with them. It's in the same plane car or something like that. But I think I get your point. You know, you want to have a dignified death. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're surrounded by loved ones and so forth and so on. But I appreciate, you know, you're still a young man. There's much more dharma for you to learn, you see. But unless you have practiced dying while living, then you will not have a dignified death. care how many people around you. Are you with me? Because in that process, you see, as your consciousness and attention withdraw from the body, you won't even know who's still around. So it's not like you will be laughing and talking and then suddenly your hearing will be gone, your eyesight will be gone. In fact, you'll be in so much pain, you don't want nobody around. You can't even enjoy them. So a dignified death then is the result of learning how to die while living, and that is one of the phrases that describes meditation. You see, meditation is preparing you, you see. Because the you that you presume to be, this body, mind, that's going out, for sure. And you don't know how to let this body go. You don't have a clue. You'll be terrified. You see. So, the tradition said that when you have done that, then the death of this body, the falling away of this body it's no big deal anymore. They said that the saints running, leap in death, just like a small child runs and leaps in his mother's lap. Are you with me? Because they have transcended all identification with that which dies. Yes, this falls away, not you. With me. And so, when death happens to the body, it's like nothing is happening to you. It's happening to something that is not you in the first place, you see. So it gets really profound, you see. But the point I'm making is that it all hinges on what you are referring to when you say, I die. I'm going to die. What are you referring to? It's just this. But are you just this? And not something that you figure out or philosophize about. Are you having the actual experience of not being this? Not quoting what you read in a book somewhere. Whatever in the spiritual literature that you're reading that you have not had a personal first-hand experience of, that's just your imagination. Pure imagination. There must actually be the experience of not being just this body. Just like you have the experience of not being that coat you got on, right? You take it off, right? And you know that you still exist, right? This is like that, so to speak. But if you're not having that experience, what if you were totally identified with that coat and somebody try to take it off, you'll fight to your last breath. So it's like that. So none of the kinds of things that we all say we would like to have as it relates to spiritual life, living, and so forth, you're not going to have that just because you want to have it. You would like to have it. You hope to have it. None of that plays any role whatsoever. You have to put in work. You have to do the sadhana. You have to do it for a long time. You see, it's work. See, wishful thinking is not going to get it. You see, emotionalism, that's not going to get it. And it may not be a lane or different, go just like that, then what you gonna do? And in this place, death is usually gonna come in very specific forms. You see, you're gonna get murdered, gonna get killed in an accident, or your mind is gonna be so messed up you're gonna commit suicide. Or your karma gonna run out and you're just gonna die. And that can happen at 10, it can happen at 110. When the karma runs out, see, that's how you'll go. So you can plan on how you're gonna die as a result of somebody murdering you. You might get murdered. Okay, so how will you turn being murdered into a dignified death?
That's upside down.
When that plane crashed and burst into flames, how would you turn your dying into a dignified death while strapped in the seat? And you pull that trigger and blow your brains out because you're so depressed, so confused. How you gonna die when that bullet goes through your skull in a dignified way? And even if you die of old age, but you have never done anything to prepare for death, then you die squealing, screaming and kicking, gnashing of teeth. You see? Fear, terror. I know you said, well, Bhagwan, I might die in my sleep. Well, that won't be peaceful either, because then you won't even know you did until you wake up again. And you don't know where you at. You don't know what happened. You're a ghost. You're a ghost. To die in your sleep unconsciously, that might be the worst kind of death that a person can have. It's not conscious dying. You see? So what are you gonna do, boo? They're coming for you too. Nobody's exempt. These bodies come over. These things are going. All of them. And you know it. See, nobody's that ignorant. Nobody's that big of a fool. Everybody in here and out there, every human being on this planet knows this is not immortal. This thing is on its way out of here. So what you gonna do? You can't make enough money to stop it from dying. There ain't no, you can't eat enough food to stop. You can't do nothing about that. And are you preparing for it? Very simple. Perhaps that is what distinguishes a spiritual seeker from a fool. Fools see people dying all over the place, under all kind of conditions and circumstances, but invariably always presume it's not going to happen to me. I'm going to be an exception. And you're not going to be no exception. I stumble sometimes. Eternal truth. The ancient Kemetic wisdom tradition, that was the first lesson, for you to learn your ABCs. You made aware of the fact that this time that you will have in this body is short. It's just a brief affair. You said, today is my birthday. You know, it seemed like yesterday I was out there throwing rocks at y'all cars. You know what I mean? Sure. And as time goes on, it makes all of that feel like it was a dream. Your past becomes the stuff that dreams will become. You see? Something. So in the Khmer tradition, that it was emphasized in Buddhism, that was what the Buddha taught. You must factor death into the way you do it in your life. You simply, if you're intelligent, you will factor death of this body into the way you are doing your life. We do the opposite. You see? We exclude the fact of death from the way we do life. And that's a terrible destiny that you make for yourself when you do that. Another thing you pointed out, she had nobody around her, right? Okay, I can appreciate even that because, you know, you have not loved. Are you with me?
Yes, yes.
You've been thinking, I can make it on my own. I don't need no wife. I don't need no husband. I don't need no children. Okay, keep it living. Keep it living. You see, when you hit 70 and fall down the steps, you ain't got no alert. Ain't nobody come to see you. You see. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. To have lived this whole life and not have loved and had a kind of character whereby others would love you, you undoubtedly handle it. It's like that. You see, you lived a loveless life. You have neither loved or had those qualities that will warrant someone else loving you. Just you and your cats. Cats might eat you. If you're hungry, you know what I mean? You thought they were loving you, but you cats don't love you. They just, you know, associate you with, you know, with food. Do you understand, beloved?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Love is required. You see, you must love. Even there may be a lower level of love in comparison to divine love, but you must love. This whole body and mind is designed to do one thing only, to love. That's what it's made for. To be the agency of divine love. You see? Like bees are function as to pollinate flowers. Right? And they're perfectly designed for that function. You have a function too. Every human being has a function. There may be variation, but collectively, you see? As a species, you have a function. You see? And you refuse to live on purpose and to perform that which you were designed to perform. You see, you were rebellious. You simply refuse to love. That's very interesting, beloved. In the culture of psychology and psychiatry, there's a famous founder of one of the schools of psychotherapy, Jung, called Justin Jung, practice involved mostly middle-aged people who were coming and presenting issues and therapy and so forth. You know? Some on the border of suicide even. And what Jung discovered in his practice was that most of these middle-aged people that were presenting issues and therapy were suffering mental, emotional, and necessarily physical illness because they refuse to love. You pay a price when you refuse to love. You see? And some say, well, I'm going to love somebody after they love me first. Well, you'll be the last person on earth that someone will love. You put some conditions on loving, not having a clue what you're doing to yourself. Or you are deluded and you're looking for a perfect woman. Ain't no perfect woman. And even if they were, what would they want with your ass? Feel me?
Yes, sir.
You feel me? And it goes both ways. Where the perfect man ain't interested in you. Feel me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So people play these games. Dangerous. You simply must love both of yours. Simple. That's the deal. Mm. That's the deal. That's what you're here for. That's what you're here for. Something else? Yes, beloved.
You mentioned something about your karma being up.
Your karma being up your time.
Your time. I guess it is. Can you elaborate on that a little?
What you hear naturally is a result of previous actions, you know? And your karma is what dictates how long you will have this body, what kind of body you will have. Because you have to understand this body and all of this is configured. It is, how do you put it?
Wired.
Well, yeah, wired, but it's like, you know, you go to a tailor and the tailor measure you and all of that, right? And it's custom fit, right? Well, your body, your life, who is in your life, all that is customized based on your samskara tendencies that you brought with you into this life, you see. Because when this body drops, the sukma sarya, this inner self, the subtle self, that goes on. That's what reincarnates, not this thing. This thing don't reincarnate. You see? Your personality doesn't reincarnate. The persona that you identify with, none of that reincarnate. It's the impressions, the samskaras, the desires that you have. Are you with me? You see? That's what reincarnates. You see? And then a body is made to fit that, those sets of samskara tendencies, so that you can fulfill them. Are you with me? So whatever desires, ambitions that you have, you see, they're being fulfilled. Everything that is happening to you is the result of a samskara, a vasana, a desire, an impression, a tendency, if you will, that you brought with you this time, right? And that's what's going on here. It was only a certain amount of it, you see, because you have tons of samskara tendencies, because you've been in these bodies since time immemorial. You see, you've had up to million lifetimes. In each one, you had husband, wife, blah, 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 all kind of desire. You see, that's a storehouse. We call it sanchita karma, storehouse. You see, can't live all that come out in this body, because this thing only designed to last for, 70, 80 years or something, right? So they're taking the amount out of your sense karma, that becomes your prarabdha karma, or your karma for this lifetime, right? And that's all that it goes, right? Then in your next lifetime, they take another hunk of your shit. They give you another body. Are you with me? You see, it's like that. You follow? Sort of like that. And so that keeps you coming and going, you see. Now, while you're here, you're creating new desires. On top of the old desires that brought you here in the first place. This is called Kriyama Karma, right? See. So now, you see, so they took some out of your senses storehouse. You created some Kriyama, put some more in there. Hence your stuff.
Count.
Yeah. Karmic debt. You see. And there's the law in the universe, this law of karma. You must reap what you sow. This is going to happen. This is what is happening to you. You are reaping what you have sowed. And you're sowing some new stuff now. And you're going to reap that shit too. All of these desires that we have. You see? You got to get a body for that. I wish I was taller. Okay, so next time, they're not going to put you in a 5 feet 5 body. They're going to put you in a giant body. But you be back here. You see? Again. Are you with me? Because you had a desire. I want to be more beautiful than I am. I want to be, get your body. Because that's what the universe does. It fulfills your desires. So be careful what you desire. Because you're going to get it. You see. And this is the cycle. The Bhagwan, the wheel. And you just turn it. You see. And so you reincarnate and die again. You reincarnate and die again. You reincarnate and die again. You reincarnate and you die again. You keep coming back dying. You come back and die again. You come back and die again. You come back and die again. Are you with me? I don't want you all to get this twisted. Clearly understand it. You see, you come back and then you die again. You come back and you die again. You come back and do the same shit all over again, and then you die again. And you die again. Now at some point you gotta get tired of coming back and dying again and again and again, because that's all that's gonna happen. That's what's going to happen now. That's what's going to keep happening. You will be born, you will get a body, a community, and people in your life. All of that is consistent with your desires, your tendencies, your presence. Then you'll die again. You come back, you have desires, they don't get fulfilled, you suffer, you're unhappy, you're frustrated, and then you die. This is the story of your life. Don't take my words, what? Look. All the desires that you fulfill, you're still not happy. Then you're going to die. Then you're going to come back. You're going to have another set of desires that also will not get fulfilled to the point of being happy. And then you're going to die again. One of the whole goal of the spiritual process is to break free of this cycle. That's what it's all about. Excited. Y'all don't want to die, do you? You ain't looking forward to dying? Yeah, man.
James trying to die many days.
You only want to die this one time. time. Just think about it, you're gonna die maybe 1,000,000 more times, but, you know.
Wow.
You must factor this in, folks. Something else to say about it, beloved? No?
And the body.
Well, it's not that bleak, you see, because someone asked one of the people were having this discussion, you know, in spiritual communities and circles, you know, these swamis and all of these people, you know, studying this law of karma and so forth. And they have this back and forth, and they're trying to figure out, well, you know what I mean? You know, does this happen, et cetera, right? And so they went to one of the elders, Swami, right? And they put the question to him and says, you know, so we're going to be reincarnating, and then when we come back, it's going to go like this, and what do you say, you know, revered sir? And he says, what nonsense are you talking? He said, how can that which has never been born die? Profound. See, reincarnation is experienced by people who figure that they are the bodies. But if you know that you're not the body, right? You can still have a body. You know you're not that cold, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure. You see, then it's okay. There's no problem wearing it, is it?
No.
No. You ain't trying to make it last forever, right?
No. But you're gonna get a new one eventually.
I mean, and you know, and you use it.
Yes.
Right? You use the body. Right? You see? So some of those liberated beings, you know, they'll come, put on the body, try to hook us up. In Jesus and Buddha, you see. They'll wear a body. And use it. Fine. But as long as you feel that you are this, you're in trouble. Automatically, the moment you call your body mine, me, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Because you know this thing that you're calling me is on its way out of here. It's at risk, it is vulnerable. You see?
Yes, sir.
You see? Anything can happen to it. And that creates fear. I'm afraid something's going to happen to me, something bad going to happen to me. I have to protect myself. You see, you're always scanning your environment, both human and otherwise, trying to see what's they look at me kind of funny. I'm across the street, start giving me a gun, give me a license. I mean, all kinds of things. Fear. Fear of the other. Are you with me?
Yeah.
You identify with this, you see, with this body mind, you see. Your desires, all of that, your beliefs, all of that stuff. None of that is you. None of that. You see. You see. And that's how you live your life. Low grade fear. Always there. Always there. Always there. Fear. Fear. You see, something bad gonna happen to my body or to my emotions, to my mind, something bad, I'll kill myself. You see. It's something. You see. And And you'll find some way to give yourself relief from the agony of this fearfulness. You're going to eat something, smoke something, drink something, sex up something. You're going to do something to make yourself feel better because you're always afraid. Here's something. Just something. You'll find some kind of way to distract yourself. I meet a lot of people, and they're good-hearted people, you know what I mean? They're trying to do this and do that in the world, but they distracted themselves from their own misery. That's all. You see? And disguise that, you know, as service. But you're just distracting yourself, that's all. You follow me? You ain't got nobody at home, no way, so you can go over there and get the home. Because you ain't got no wife, got no children, no husband, no nothing, you see. So I do all my time to feed the homeless, you see. But you're homeless, basically. And you don't want to go to where there's nothing. How you feeling? This ain't as deep. This ain't as deep. So much more can be said about this whole business of reincarnation, but I think the old Swami would have it right. How can that which was never born, that is not in time, that is not even in space, how can it die and reincarnate when it's never been born, when it's not even in time? But the corollary is true. Whatever is born in time, that exists in time, will end in time. This is true. Whatever arises in time and space will end in time and space. That's not what's in the time. And this thing came into being in time. Right? It is in space. And it will come to an end. And so will your personality. That ain't going nowhere. Your personhood, your sense of selfhood, going nowhere. So one shot for another. You see? So much of the person that you feel you are is based on your identification with this body and the experiences that this body has had, right? When this damn thing falls away, that goes too. In the next birth, you won't have the same personality you got now. It's something altogether different, you see. You will have an entirely different body. If it's a white body, then you will have a personality, a sense of personhood that says, I'm white. You won't have this, I'm black, I'm African. That's gone. You only have that because you are in a black body, right? When you ain't got no black body, that's gone. Your likes, your dislikes. I mean, this thing is something. You have to understand this thing. And that's why the mystic says, you know, this is a lifetime of work. This ain't something you're going to do over the weekend. Right? This is a lifetime. Lifetime. And that's what you have to be prepared for life. Forever. You see? No turning back. So, you might have noticed that this overcoming this misidentification with the not-self is what is required. And love is the supreme method process by which you can overcome this misidentification, because you will forget about yourself. See, that's what's so powerful and so beautiful about stuff. It makes you forget about yourself. That's how you know it's true. It ain't about me no more. That's that me. Which is reference back to this thing, my likes, my dislike, what I want. He said, that's what.
Yes, sir.
See, it is love that gives you the ability to forego your own selfish ambitions and self-gratification for the sake and welfare of your beloved. Whoever you elevate to that level of the beloved. Love does that. You see, nothing else. It frees you. It is the means by which you can really create real variety of detachment. See, detachment is not a negative thing. Detachment is wrongly understood. People are only talking about, well, let me get detached from my material possessions. Let me get detached from this. You're trying to get variety from things and situations. No. The variety is to get detached from you. You see, from you. You see, don't be so attached. Don't be so caught up in this burden of self-concern. You see, you're attached. That's attachment. Par excellence, are you with me? The worst kind of attachment. You see, love frees you from that. You see, it's the willingness and the capacity to forego your own selfish ambitions and self-gratification for the sake and welfare of the beloved. Buddha would add all sentient beings. Buddha was a phenomenon, you see. Defies description. It is said that of all of the mystics that have walked this earth, none have been more compassionate than the Buddha.
Yes, sir.
You see.
Yes, sir.
All sentient beings. You see. There is something. There is something. And on the surface here, it looks like you're losing something, but you're not. You gain freedom.
Yes, sir.
You see. Spiritual life, spiritual practice, is not to search for freedom for your ego, but freedom from it. You enjoy the distinction?
Yes, sir.
It's freedom from it, not freedom for it. That's liberation. That's salvation. That's moksha. Freedom from your own egoic self. You are your biggest obstacle on this path. You. Not your neighbor, not your wife, not your husband, not this or that. You. The ego is your biggest problem. The very you that you're trying to fulfill by all kinds of means. That's what's in the way. That is what is blocking your experience of being happy. You're doing it. And until you understand that, see that, you won't lose all the sympathy you have for yourself. See, you have so much sympathy for this ego self.
Yes, sir.
You gotta lose all sympathy with yourself. See, all this feeling sorry for yourself, all this got to go. Y'all tired now?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. Something else to say about it? Yes, beloved.
I'm gonna shake my hand, Pastor.
What's your beloved?
I'm gonna say on the eve of your birthday, happy birthday to you. And I definitely want to say out of all the years of being around you, you know, you always spoke about love. And on this day, I would say that it was like you took me to the heart of creation and death. And I want to say that everybody, I have a lot of people that love me in my life. And I love them as well. And I'll be a better lover if I do follow out what you instilled in me. But I thank you for showing me how to withdraw my attention from this body. I wouldn't have known that from nobody else, and I should do it in order to myself and you to do that a lot more. But I thank you for that.
You're very welcome, beloved.
I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, no way out.
Nah,
You see?
you got a good old mama, good old mama.
Yeah,
Papa.
yeah. You see,
No.
the relationship with the one that plays some role in coming into contact with this wisdom tradition. That's a great relationship.
Yes, sir.
It's the greatest relationship because all other relationships bind you.
Yeah.
You see, pull you further out in terms of your attention. That great relationship moves you in because what you're looking for is within. It is not outside of you. You see?
Both of them keep me working. Both of them keep me working.
Yeah. You go ahead. You see? You do the meditation. You see?
Yes, sir.
You have to really do the meditation, even if it's not much, but every day you got to do it. You have to establish a routine. Don't worry about whether you see lights and hear sounds. Don't worry about all of that, you see? But you must have discipline. You must do the work every day. I used to use the example, he said, even if you got a faucet and it just drip, 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 over time it will cut through that storm. But it has to be consistent. You have to do it, you see? Right. Yes, beloved.
Since we've been talking about love, I don't know if this is appropriate, but it is. I'm gonna say it. Anyway, our brother Diel is hospitalized, you know, after having open heart surgery. I don't know if everybody knows that, but so I just think it would be nice if people could send maybe cards or something. I talked with somebody this morning, so she's at the hospital, but
That's good. So
we can remember.
you just send a text, good Dasa Hamels.
Okay, I'm just,
Yes,
but so often people in the Sandot don't know
Yeah.
what's happening with other
Yeah.
people. They'll say, I didn't know, so I'm just
Yeah.
putting
Yes.
it out there.
No, that's good. I know that some of you on this Facebook page, I have talked to somebody, so she keeps us pretty much up to date. I didn't know whether she was more,
She's okay with it.
but that's good. You see. And we certainly wish Dayo Saab a speedy recovery. He had surgery, heart surgery, so this will be good.
I want to say
Yes,
thank you for your love.
Oh.
I mean, truly.
Mm.
You know, it's just a blessing that this time around,
Mm.
the formers came in the form of you.
Mm.
And I don't think no one could
sir.
do what you did to me.
Mm.
I don't think no one would ever been able to reach me.
Mm.
All right? So on bended knees, I thank God for the love in which that you have given me
Mm.
and shown me how to love.
Mm.
You know, that's a blessing right there.
Mm.
You know, for someone to show you how to love. Because we think we know how to love. You know, we really do think that. But when someone comes with a gift, and a gift of grace, there's no words for it. It really, so
You see-
happy birthday, happy love day, happy birthday.
Said Ryan, you know, there's something that happened at first sight, you know what I mean? And it's all through downtown, I walked over, and the rest is history, basically. You see?
Wow.
You see? And all I've ever tried to do, you see, is accept you just the way you are. And I've tried to encourage all of those who are connected to you to try to do the same. You see, just accept it. Told your wife, did I not? Years ago. I told your daughter that. Told your sister that. Told my entourage that. Just love me. And that's it. You see? Worthy. And try to be your friend.
Yes, sir.
And I'll try hard.
Since we're talking about love, well, without a doubt, I am happy that you came into my life. But I want to move from that to I'm happy that you touched San Juan. Because over the last, I guess this is like testifying in the church.
Yes,
I got
Praise
to
the Lord.
I have to do it.
Come on.
But over the last month or so, I have to say that I felt incredible love from Sarah. I didn't know, you know, it was that brotherly love. And I just wish there was a clone of him, because I've never, and I haven't spent a lot of, you know, like real close-up time with Sarah, but when I reached out to him, he responded, and it was with love. And it was just incredible, and I will never, ever forget that. And it's like there's a circle, there's you, there's him, there's others, and I feel the love, and I am so grateful for that, because I needed it.
Yes.
And I felt it, it was there. And that is just, we've been talking on the phone, and I said, look, that song is over, girl, because she goes on and on, but it's all in love.
Yes.
And I think it's so important to feel that in the Sangha. And I've been around for years, but it's like I'm feeling it.
Yeah. You're becoming receptive.
I'm becoming receptive.
It's always been there.
I know that. I know that. But I'm just letting you know
Yes, that's a good thing.
It's good.
That's a good thing.
It's good.
So spread it around, girl. Spread it around. See, all of you, all of us, not just us, but all human beings, we're made out of that stuff called love. That's our nature. You see? That's our very essence. We just refuse to love. It's not that we don't have it, we just refuse by putting all these conditions on it. So but it's all love. It's all love out there. Even your enemies are also made out of the same stuff called love. You see? Because there's nothing that exists that is not made out of the material called God. Because that's all it was. And for anything to exist, it must necessarily be made out of that which preceded its existence, which is God. And God is love. You see, we very often attribute omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence, those kind of qualities to God. But we often time overlook love and beauty. You see, there's an aesthetic quality to God. You see, it's in music. When you hear a beautiful song, you're hearing God. You see, the sound of God, the beauty, etc., etc. You follow? And it's in all of us. You see, it's in you too. You see, and probably people who have not had an intimate relationship or with you have saw that, experienced it, tasted it. Are you with me? But it's in you too. You see? All of you are beautiful, and all of you are nothing but the incarnations of love. Just afraid. Just afraid. Be yourself. Be this love. And that's what Sangha is for. It's what family is for. It's what your husband, your wife is for. What your children is for. It's what everybody is for. So the same harmony or whatever you that we are able to create, we should have it in our household as well. Don't you think?
Yes,
Take it home with you.
Yes.
You follow me?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And there are many people, Parvataji, that Sapra has interacted with. You see, it's not just Sapra. You see, all kinds of people in here. I don't want to blow anybody's cover, but it's not a one of you that I have not witnessed this capacity to sacrifice. There may not have been money or time and so forth and so on, right? But you see anyone? Now, you have to see it in one another. I've seen it. You see, I'm a believer.
Me too.
Right, so I'm your biggest fan. And when you all come to me complaining about one another, you said, Bhagwan, so-and-so, throw them out. Curse them. Like, I can't do that. And you get angry. They're a hypocrite, they're no good. You know what I mean? What can I do? What can I do? So love. You see? And then love some more. And then love some more.
Yes, sir.
And this love shows up in self. Where there's love, there's savor. They are concomitant phenomenons. You see? There's talk about love. And then there's doing love. Savor is love may connect. Because you have many people say, I love you, I love, but no savor is done. Are you with me? No savor. I've seen that too. That's all right. That's good. Even talking about love and say, look, without doing any of that, that's okay. You see? That will grow. You know what I mean? Just stay in the room. You see, it'll get better and better. You see?
Or hang with the law.
I'm gonna hang with the law. The law will wear you out.
You learn some real estate with
Yes. You see, the law has some of the traits of his grandfather who I was on in CG. You see, same. That's how you know it's love. And it's indiscriminate. You see, you can't get the size on you, send it to you.
Yes, sir.
No thank you is required. Gonna feed you. Right? No thank you is required. That's what you're here for. Do something. Bless somebody. Not just talk. Not just show up. And punch in. And then go your way. It's not. That's a meaningful life. And that's the way it should be. Don't you think? No complaining, no bitching, no moaning. Quiet. Say. Yes, good.
I wanted to just share something about, you say that the mother's love is like the closest. There's been a lot of talk about a mother's love. And I've been spending more time with my mom because she had strokes back to back. And her memory is gone. So most of the time, she don't know where she is. She don't remember. You know, she get to the bathroom. She don't even remember why she went to the bathroom. And all the time that she's going through this, I see all the fear. But when somebody is in trouble or needs something, or she takes her mind off herself, which is what she's been doing, then all of the fear seems to dissipate. She'll concentrate on what's going on with Shamika, or, you know, Roger Vera walk in the room. You know, she forgets about all of the fear or what's going on with her. And so I've just been observing her, but I've been also just appreciating just her presence, because she is something beyond that body that I feel, that I haven't in all my life felt. And so it's like the presence of her is more noticeable to me. You know, you can notice when somebody give you something, or, you know, if they take something away from you and those type of things, but there's something inside of her, some type of innocence that I've just been seeing and noticing. And it don't require nothing. Like, we were just sitting in the same room, just her being there, you know, and just me being there with her. It seemed to be just this thing there, you know, outside of anything else. You know, when no talking or anything like that. And that was one of my prayers, was that, you know, before she leave that body and I leave this body, that I accomplish being a good daughter. And seeing that just happening, not me doing anything to make anything happen, but just being as present as I could be.
Gotcha. Yes, yes. You see, beloved, there's a kind of self-transformation that is the result of recognition. And Kashmir they call it pratyabhijna, the recognition. And so you sitting silently with your mother, you see, it reminds me of some students in secret of spirituality and so forth went to the master and they wanted to know more about God. You know, what is God's nature? What is His essence and so forth and so on. See? And the master remained silent. Some time went by and they asked him again, you know, beloved, you know, I have heard, I read here that they say that, you know, there's Saguna and Nirguna, God, one with quality, one without quality. But what is His true nature, essence? And the master remains silent. You see. Another one asks, he says, I heard that He's beyond words, beyond language, incomprehensible, beyond the reach of the mind and the intellect, that He cannot be known. You see? So if He cannot be known, how do we know Him? And the master kept silent and smiled. And after a while, they became, you know, discouraged that, well, we're not going to get none here. And they're about to take their leave and say, well, thank you, Master. We had came to get these answers, but, you know, perhaps you're not in the mood, you're not feeling well, so we'll take our leave. And the master said, no, I've been explaining it to you all the time. You just couldn't get my silence.
Beautiful, beautiful,
It is silent.
beautiful.
You see,
That's stillness.
it is silent, right? But you have to have the sensitivity, the ability to be receptive to the silence. And when that happens, there's the recognition. And that is to produce the response. Are you with me? So the great teachers, they come and they communicate things to us. The first form of that communication is just silence. The Buddha will come and he will sit. All day, no discourse, to be glued with this. Maybe on that third day, then he'll drop it down some because they couldn't understand the silence. Are you with me? And so then he will open his eyes and he'll look at them and teach them with his look, drishti. They couldn't understand that. You see? So he stood down a little bit more, you see, a little bit more. And the lowest level of communicating anything about God is just the level of speech. Lowest level. And the farthest from the truth. And it depends on the receptivity, you see, of the individual. Some people don't even have enough receptivity to the truth to even understand the truth when they hear the truth.
Yes, sir.
Some are a little bit more receptive, you see. They don't have to hear, just touch them. Shanti back. They got it. Some are a little bit more receptive. You see where we're going with this. But the one that is most receptive is just sitting. That's what satsang really is. That's what the Upanishad, right? Is sitting, silent. That's it. You sit. But most of us, we not only need to hear the teachings verbally, we must hear for a long time. A long time. Because, that's where we're at. So you'll hear this, and then you'll go back 10 years ago, pull out a saxophone tape and hear it, and be baffled. It's like you never heard it, and you were sitting there taking notes. You can't hear. You see, Ptah said, God loves a hearer. You can't hear. You don't listen. It bounces off your eardrums, but you're not listening. You see, you don't reflect. You see, there's no phenomena. So if you can't hear silence, then Emir Baba can't help you because he's silent. You're just wasting your time. You see. And you can't pretend either. You can't say I heard and not be transformed. That don't happen either. Cannot happen. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
There will be a transformation. There will be a change, radical change. You see, willow made straight, etc., all of that. You see, there'll be no fear. You see, if Mataji's body drops tonight, there's no fear about that. There's nothing to mourn about that. She was not a body in the first place. But if you can do that, you see, that's what's important. And you say, your recognition has motivated you to be a good daughter. Yeah, good. To be that good daughter, you see. Do your duty. Do your dharma. This is your duty. Do your duty. You see. And it shouldn't be whether she was a good mother or not. That had nothing to do with it. Are you with me? You see. It's your dharma, your duty. You see. It's like that. Bible says it. So you honor thy mother and thy father. Honor them. In spite of their perfection, in spite of their shortcomings, in spite of their faults. This too is a kind of silence. But silence, just sitting. We talk about meditation, you see. If you can sit in the silence, then you will have a much better result from your meditation, just sitting. But you have to be able to endure it, you see. Great Master, all of these things said, if you can sit silently and still for 3 hours, then you will see, then you will know a lot more than reading a Himalayan mountain. But you must be able to sit quietly. You see, 3 hours. You see, because even when you just sitting not talking, that don't mean you're silent. Your mind is going through all of that. You sit there silently, but you're thinking. So you still don't get to know her. You're thinking. You came to conclusions while not talking. That's all you did. But your mind was busy. That ain't silence. Real silence. Are you with me? That thinking blocks out the connection, the communion. Are you with me? It disturbs. Are you with me? You can't get there, right? It's a barrier. You see. So next time you have that opportunity, that situation, sit there and drop all your thinking about it. Get the thinking out of it. Are you with me? rascals out here. Last question. Go ahead. All right. You know, I look at this prasad, and I always see Sahajananda face here. Very quiet. She's very quiet. But she gets stuff done. So this is Seva. You have this because of Seva.
Chief.
It's the middle of the darkness. I'm so tossed and turned. It's how I spend the time. I've got so much on my mind. So now I'm lonely. And it's don't you agree? It's got to be. I don't feel bad. I know what I've done. I've got to get next to you. I came here for you. I came for you to love. And I know I'm here for you to love. I'll be the best I can. For you to love. Let's make it to my I start to wonder what is true, and I get so confused. What should I do? You make me pray when you say you understand, but that I can't be your man. Something's not changing. Now, if I can run till you in time, then you'll be right. Ooh, I've got to get over. Yes, that's what I've got to do. Look out, 'cause I'm after you. And I came here for you to love. Yes, I do. I've been a hurricane for you to love. Just to be ready for you to love. I'll be the kind of man for you.
You know what is very interesting is that in the course of your lifetime, you will probably have 10,000 to 15,000 individual contact with people. And every one of those people that falls into that group for you are people who have come here for you to love. Everybody. Your song, God, your cool song, these casual, random contacts you have with people, every last one of them are people who have come here and placed here by an infinite wisdom for you to love, to give you practice, because you have practice. You see, you have refused to love so long that the heart has become atrophied, you see, and you need to practice opening it now, you see. So it changes your attitude toward people you meet, you see. That panhandle on the street, you see, that you just randomly meet, is here for you to love in that moment, you see. The bus driver, you see, that you're friendly with, here for you to love, you see. And unless you become conscious of this, then you will miss opportunities, you see. We ordinarily think that our duty is to love only our intimate others, our husband, our wives, our children, our siblings, other relatives, etc., etc. No. You see. There's at least 10 to 15,000 other souls here, just for you. Wow. To love. And if you can do that, nothing else remains to be done. You would have fulfilled the purpose of human existence. The task of which is to be the agency of love under all circumstances.
Yes, sir.
Now, you don't have to be foolish about it. You understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes the love has to be tough, but it must be love, whether soft or tough, but it must be love. That's what you're here for. You see. And this is a wonderful thing. So, you have each other. And as you were saying, part of Akaji and about that, Rod. As long as you have love, you have it all. It's the great relationship. You're closer than kilt and kin.
Yes, sir.
You see? Let's turn to Rod DeVere for further instructions.
Right. Silence. Silence. Silence.
Silence. It's playing.
We may not have a mansion on a hill, make coats and diamonds by the score, but the things we have no man could ever take it. Just the two of us now, who could ask for more? We may not have a million stairs to wear, no one knows what tomorrow brings, but as long as I have you, there's no mistaking that the world is ours to do most anything. Baby, just as long as we have love, two shoulders we can lean on if we fall. Baby, just as long as we have love, we'll have it all.
Thank you, beloved.
It will be cheap. Go ahead. All the seasons of the year. Come on, boy. For anyone to come along and change
could get this frog out of my throat. Is it still going?
All right,
Oh,
that's
okay. All right.
Smoke.
This berry is very good. It's a berry white trying to say you're smoking this morning.